Okay, so welcome. Good to see you guys. We're moving on, and in a way, it's like what we're gonna look at now is Yehuda Ilah. We've really been looking at Yehuda Tata, and Yehuda Tata, just that we understand, is the bitul of the worlds that created Yesh Mi'ayin, with their source, which is in Malchus of Atzilus. So it's really looking at the created worlds of Beria, Yetzira, and Asiya, and where they are sourced. That's the Yichud. That's what I came to understand is Yichud. What's a Yichud? You know, you hear about the Baal Shem Tov, they were doing Yichudim, and this is what I understand. The Yichud means that you take it back to its source. So that's really what we've been doing in the first 20 paragraphs, is he's been slowly showing us how the worlds, the created worlds, are really betul to their source, how they really included in their source. And he did that very, very slowly so that our brains would absorb it. And he says, when you study that, then it gets absorbed into your brain. When you study it in detail, then it can come into pnimiut. And when that happens, there can be a change in your brain. Literally, the divine light, the way he says it is that a revelation of divine light is absorbed into your brain. And then you can say that you fulfilled the mitzvah of knowing Hashem, because it comes into pnimiut. And now he's going to show us how Yehuda Ilah, which is really how Atzilus is sourced. What is the source of Atzilut? That's Yehuda Tata, is taking the world of Atzilus back to its source, seeing how that is. And what's fascinating to me is that they're two different systems. They're completely different spiritual laws. So I find that in general, especially when speaking about spiritual stuff, we tend to generalize. So we hear, a concept from Torah and we think that that's the law for everything. And now he's showing us, like in the details, that there's a spiritual law for how the created worlds go back, are betul to their source. And then the world of Atzilus, which is also created, but it's a different level, how they're completely different spiritual laws about how that connects back to its source. And sorry, Mila, I'm doing a bit of a long introduction before I'm giving you this stage. But I went back, I decided to go back and review Yehuda Tata. And I found something fascinating in paragraph 2. And I'm going to share it with you. So in paragraph 2, he started there to talk about Yehuda Tata and Yehuda Ilah. Let me just find the exact. Okay. And I realized that right back here, and you find this all the time in Reb Hillel, or I do, that you find that early on in the chapter, he'll plant a seed and you won't really understand it in the context because you don't have context yet. But when you go back, you'll see, oh, he was saying something, but he didn't really name it properly. So look at this. This is what I understood. Okay, doesn't matter what the context is, but we'll see this. So too in Hisponenus in Elokus, from sensing the quality of the bitul of created beings to their general source, which is the level of Malchus. So he's talking here about Yehuda Tata. And he says that when you're doing Hisbonenus into Elokus, the process of Hisbonenus into Yehuda Tata is that you sense the quality of bitul. Hargasha ve'echut bitul hanivraim, the created beings, to legabe makoram haklali, to their general source, which is the level of Malchus. So here he uses the word bitul, and he uses it a lot. And then one comes after that to the level of seeing in Yehuda Ilah, which is the aspect of the supernal parzufim of the 10 sfirot of Atzilut, and their quality, the echus, of what? Not of their bitul with the matzil, but with their unity with the matzil, Yehudam im hamatzil. So you get that? So he's saying in Yehuda Tata, you're talking about the bitul of the created beings to their source, and with Yehuda Ilah, which we don't understand, haven't done yet, that you're going to be looking at the quality of their unity with with their source. And perhaps when we learned it originally, okay, it just seems like a bunch of words. But now we can begin to understand and see that this is the beginning of teaching us the difference between Yehuda Ilah and Yehuda Tata. Yehuda Tata is about bitul of the yesh to the ayin. And now when we go to Yehuda Ilah, it's not about bitul. It's about unity with the source. And what I understood from it, and we can look into it more, is that what does bitul mean? Bitul is that there's a yesh and it gives way to a greater ayin. Like you see that the yesh that you have is really part of something greater. So he tells us here, okay, we understood that from chapter 1, where you have bina, which is a yesh, like you have all these words and explanations and etc., etc. But if you want to go back to understand the essence of the idea, so then there's the explanations and the mashalim, they fall away, and you get the nakuda, like the point. So that's where the yesh becomes bitul, like doesn't break down, it breaks open to reveal something greater, which is when you then go into chokhmah and you understand like the point that the person is trying to make. So that's bitul. But what is yichud? Yichud means, this is what we're gonna understand, that, so we know that in chokhmah or in atzilus, because we're comparing them, there's an ayin. It's like there are no kalim, there are no letters. And so there's a suggestion here that there's a unity of an ayin to an ayin. Like before it was a yesh to an ayin, which means that they're different in their quality. They essentially, one is a yesh, one's an ayin. But somehow chokhmah or atzilus, when it's connected to its source, it's so similar to its source that it's ayin to ayin, and that's why it's going to be a yichud and not bitul. All right, was that more confusing or more clarifying?
So, Nuri, I'm not sure. Are you saying that from the perspective of Yehuda Ilah, that it's more like looking at drawing in the similarity of what comes from below and being part of it? Is that part of the ayin? When the bitul becomes ayin? Like it doesn't matter. Once they're united, it doesn't matter.
Right, yeah. Once they're united, once you have the oimek hamusag, then you're and then you understand the point. Then you're in the ayin. Then you have an experience. It's a difference. Like we can understand it because we know the difference between Bina and Chokhmah. Chokhmah is like you sense it, you experience it. And Bina is that, you're trying to understand it. It's letters, it's ideas, it's concepts. It's not an experience. So you don't know it. You're just trying to figure it out. And then you shift into getting it, that kind of, aha, oh, I get it. That's really what, chapter 1 was trying to teach us, the language of Yesh and Ayin and Chochmah and Bina, so that we could then understand the Nimshal, which is how Hashem works, how the world of Atzilus works, and how the worlds of Bia work. So maybe we have to go back to chapter 1. We always, he's building. But yeah, once you're in the ayin, you don't have to, you let go of the yesh. But then you go back and forth. That's how, because we function very much in the world of yesh, of understanding and explanations. Even now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to explain something. And all you're hearing are the letters. But for me, it's kind of, I had an aha. Like I saw something. It's not that I saw, the Matzil, but I saw something about what he was trying to communicate to us that I completely missed the first time around because I didn't have any context. But we still don't really understand because we haven't learned about Yehuda Ilah yet. We don't know what it means, unity with the source, as opposed to bittul to the source. I'm just trying to point out that right in the beginning, in paragraph 2, he's already hinting at the difference between these two systems. And we're going to find out really, what that means. All right, Mila, do you want to say something? You muted.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, how you explained, and that's, pretty much explains us the importance of letters, the importance of ICs. And we notice that in general, if you remember from chapter 1, the mashpia has to package the concept in such a way that on one hand, it has to be transmittable, right? It's on one hand, he is delivering the essence of it, right? It's a revelation. At the same time, because of the limitations of perception of the makabel, he has to do a tzimtzum, right? He has to kind of package it, but he cannot do tzimtzum kipshuta. He cannot do tzimtzum kipshuta because if he's going to do tzimtzum kipshuta, you're left with an intellect. The essence is not there. You're left with a lofty concept. Oh, nice. So what do you do with it? But you see, Hashem is a master of packaging, okay? And he is able to package something that appears one way, but the minute you are looking from the other side, you see a different story. You understand? You get the essence. So this is exactly what we're talking about. Yehuda Tata and Yehuda Ilah, it's like a packaging thing. It's a nice package, okay? But package it appears as yesh. Okay? Okay, so I see Nechama asked the question, what is Tzimtzum Kipshutei? Tzimtzum Kipshutei would be Etzem V'Ispashtus. Tzimtzum Kipshutei, there's the essence of Hashem, and Hashem conceals himself really. Okay, meaning I'm giving you something, but when you climb up, there is nobody there. That's it. And Hashem could have done this actually. Okay? To understand the concept of Tzimtzum Kipshutei, it's a pretty much understanding the whole Arizal's Kabbalah, right? Chabad follows Arizal's Kabbalah, but not just how his Talmidim understood it, but how Kabbalah came through Reb Chaim Vital. Okay, and in the beginning of Torah, Alter Rebbe distinguishes. The Rebbe is the Chabad creator, so-called, the system creator in reality. So, and the Alter Rebbe took on the teachings of Reb Chaim Vital from what he heard from the Arizal. And over there, you know, by Kabbalists, right? That's why you just don't go to any Kabbalist. Okay, you ask them. You go according to this and this. Okay, so the Kabbalists, they have different school of thoughts, right? Even in the Torah realm, okay, there are different understandings of different Gedolei Yisrael. That was about whether there was Tzimtzum Kipshuta, Tzimtzum Lo Kipshuta, one of the big debates between Alter Rebbe and Vilna Gaon. Okay, just in case if you want to understand what was the spiritual differences between the two giants. And Vilna Gaon felt that Tzimtzum was Kipshuta, that Hashem literally concealed his essence and created the world, gave limited amount of energy to the world, and now the world exists, or maybe unlimited energy to the world, but the essence of God is not present here. Okay? Now, Chabad Chassodus teaches us a whole new thing. It's a long story, remember? Alter Rebbe warned us, it's a long way, it's a long story. But once you get it, for you to be close to Hashem, it's like this. You got it. Because then the whole long topic with the whole long way will top, right? That's it. Once you get to the destination, there is no long way anymore. Because that was a long way for your human brain to understand the system that Hashem created. Once the human brain understands what truly is happening, then you have, I think there's a word for this. I'll find it for you. There is.
Mila,
I know this word in English.
Can I just interject? Because I understood something very, very simple from the way that you described it. If you go back to the mashal of Chochmah and Bina and a Mashpia and Makabel, I think that a lot of our Torah learning is sometimes that we're hearing like processed Torah, that it's not coming, or I feel like it's not coming from the source. Somebody has taken the source and they've processed it. And then somebody has processed it from their processing. And so when you come like to the third or fourth level, now you hear it from someone and you want to kind of unravel it and go back to the Nukuda, the original Nukuda. But it's so hidden that Nukuda has been lost because it's gone through so many iterations. And
yeah,
so
we play this, what do we call this, broken phone?
It's kind of like broken telephone, like the original message is not, is like the Mashalim could be
not
like,
intact already.
yeah, it's not, so you can't unwrap it because basically what we're doing when we're doing Iyun, we're trying to understand the Bina, like the words and the explanations, and we're looking for the Nakuda inside of it. But so often the Nakuda has been lost because the person who's teaching it doesn't know the Nakuda, like doesn't know the original, doesn't really understand it on a deep level. So there's no chokhmah inside the Bina. So you unravel it and you find nothing. That's like Tzimtzum.
Exactly.
Like
exactly, yeah.
Open it and there's nothing there. Like the essence is no longer in there. But the way Hashem created the world, and this is what we're learning, is the histalshalut, that at every level, that's why we go Yeshu. At every level, the other level is enclosed in it. So you can open it up and you can open it up and you can open it up and you keep going to a deeper source. So that's what he says, that's Yehuda Tata. You start with Yehuda Tata and take it back to its source. And then you want to take that source back to its source. And then that source back to its source. It's like a chain that's connected. as opposed to
At the
things
same
that are not
time,
connected.
right, but at the same time, Naria, when we are talking about etzem v'hispashtos and halam v'gilui, they all happen simultaneously. That's the beauty of it, that it's like, where are you? You know, it's like the reality is unfolding, but what is your consciousness is at? If your consciousness is hooked on etzem v'hispashtos, that's how things will reveal themselves to you through that paradigm. Once you shift and you, right, you get the chachma, remember? Like you get it, right? You're working. At one point, that's it. You reached your limit. 49th gate of Bina. You're maxed, right? Like your intellect is no longer can work with the concept. You're out. Understand? Like you literally maxed out. This is usually when you go to sleep. This is like, okay. And then, it came. Now it makes sense. It fell, like it settled. You see, that's why the tuvuna is an indicator a person is getting the chachma. Do you understand? What's tvuna? Tvuna is being impregnant. That means there was a seed. Do you understand? You can't get impregnant without a seed. Like nobody did it yet. Right? That means there was a chachma there, and now that chachma actually permeated. You planted the seed. It's implanted already. There's something is gonna grow from it. Okay? Because you could get into this whole, travel up with the bina and understanding and expansion and blah blah blah. The depth, when you got what do you call it? You got omek chochma, meaning omek of bina. When a person when you impregnate the idea already got into your brain. That means there was something is going to grow from it. Do you understand? The person could be involved in all kinds of activities, okay? But when there's no seed, there is nothing to plant. There's nothing is growing from it. Okay, so that's like an understanding, meaning that's going that the downward is dependent on the upward, right?
Like a plant that grows upwards, it has to put roots downwards. So the roots are
right. But even before that, there has to be a seed,
right,
to put in order that process to begin.
And the seed is chokhmah.
Exactly, the seed is chokhmah. Okay, that's the insight.
Right.
You can't develop something if there's no insight, right? So then that's why we maxed out on our 49 gates. Okay, this is our own. This is when we are yesh. This is when we are going through the process of bitul. But then there's a 50th gate. 50th gate is when we go beyond ourselves, and not how we understand it, but how it is. Okay, that's where the chachma. Chachma is about the truth, right? Hashem created the world with the chachma, right? It says in Tanya that Hashem was the first thing. The first revelation, remember, is a chachma. Everything beyond.
My understanding, just from like the example that he gave, is that chokmah is more like an experience. That's why he uses the word margish. Like you just to say the word know is wrong but it's the das that gets you there, which is like the knowing. But it's an experience, like he said in paragraph 2 of chapter 1, where you experience the beauty of the house. It's an experience. It's not something that you then, it's very hard then to explain it. The chokhmah is something experiential. It's a
right, but it's not only because you see, imagine somebody who is not refined looks at the beautiful building.
No,
they don't have the same experience.
It's subjective.
Exactly, but the chachma is objective. Yes, the chachma has true. But some people, you know, I mean, come on, you saw people, you're showing them something like remarkable and they look at it and like painting. You understand?
Isn't
Yes.
Chachma connected with an Isuris Dilatata? Because you have to activate the Chachma, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, this is still within the domain of the person. But the Chachma, it's the way it's given. Bina, it's the way it's received. It has to match. That's the idea.
Jans, it depends whether you're going from up to down or down to up, whether you're the makabel or you're the mashpia.
Right, no, we're talking about makabel perspective, right? The chachma of the person is the way it landed to him. But the bina is how he understood it. Understand? Because there is a he who understands. Understand? So that's what bina is yesh. There is somebody to understand. Chachma, it's the way it's given from above. It's the insights. Now, obviously, we're going through the layers of our understanding and refinement process where we try to understand the way it's given. Do you understand? Like we want to match that. So when the aha moment, we're going to have a lot of aha moments throughout the process. Understand? It all depends on how clear is our membrane is going to be. Okay, the more clear, the more refined, the truer how Hashem wants us to get, we're going to get. You understand? So it's a multi-step process. It's never like, oh, I got it. It depends for what. If we're getting a mathematical formula, okay, it's not the most deepest chokhmah in the world. But when we're talking about Hashem, when we are talking about Yehuda Ilah, Yehuda Tata, there's always going to be that subjectivity to it. But the more refinement we have, the more objective we will get. And the goal is that the whole Chokhmah reveals to us, right? That we reach the Shar Nun of Bina. Shar Nun of Bina is the Omek HaMusak, where we start experiencing Chokhmah the way Hashem wants us to experience. Obviously, we're always going to look through the prism of our reality, but we could elevate our reality to the point where we actually get the objectivity. Anyway, so I don't want to, go more into this because we have a whole a paragraph to look through it, and the advantage that they are paradigms, right? So the Yehuda Ilah is more on the Chachma realm. The Chachma realm, from the perspective of Chachma, there was never hiddenness to begin with, because in the world of Atzilus, there's no concealment of God. Because there's no yesh. There's nobody to conceal from. Okay, so that's why the neshamas, and we discussed it in Contreras Pilot's class, the neshamas that come from Atzilus will all come from Atzilus. Let's put it this way, right? But along the way, we kind of like become more affected by a particular world. But those neshamas that are coming from Atzilus, that are coming straight from Atzilus without being affected by Biyah, the vision is much more clear. Understand? They more see, like, for example, like the Alter Rebbe, right? I'm sure when he was a kid, he was a different kid that we would usually see on the street, right? Why? Because the clarity was there. Do you understand? The clarity, and like they talk about the Ruzhin Rebbe, that when he was a kid, they learned in the Gemara, when there was a cheder, we're talking about like 5-6-year-old kid. When in the cheder, you know what you should do when you are, I don't know, in a situation and you don't know what the day of the week it is. How you keep Shabbos. You count from that day 7 days, and your 7th day would be Shabbos. So this kid couldn't get it. Like, what do you mean you don't know what day of the week it is? So the Rebbe explained again and again. At one point, he thought about the chutzpah. What do you mean you don't know? You don't know. You don't know what today. Well, it's Shabbos or it's not. He's like, what do you mean? He just couldn't wrap his head around it. So the Rebbe's like, what's your story? He's like, well, you just look up in the sky. You know when Shabbos is. Like, where the question even arises. You see, the question arises when we do not know the difference between an ordinary day and Shabbos. But for this kid, all his life, when did he know when the Shabbos is coming? you look up and you see that the sky looked different. So that's how we knew, oh, Shabbos is coming. Now, you understand that it's a different level of refinement we're talking about here, right? And the Torah is written for ordinary people. The guy was definitely not an ordinary person, and that's that's the reality we're dealing with. But you understand that this neshama is not coming from biyah, because in biyah there is concealment. So the perception is through the masach, through the curtain. So that's why you look up in the sky, you don't exactly see whether it's Shabbos or not. The curtain is there. But for people who are coming beyond that limitation, they don't know what you're talking about.
So the Masach is between Atzilut and Bia.
There's many masachs.
The iron curtain.
One of the masachs.
Yeah, but that one is a very strong one. They call it the iron curtain.
That's what differentiates the upper unity with the lower unity. You see, people that are coming from Atzilus, they don't doubt the reality of God. They have clarity with it. It's a very clear reality for them. Okay. They have very clear sense between Kodesh and Chol. These people, they are tzaddikim basically. They're not gonna, they look at at a meat and they'll know if it's kosher or not. Like they don't need to ask a rav basically for anything. They know this mezuzah is possible or not. They just know it. How they know it? Because there's a clarity in that world between Kodesh and Chol. Very clear. They know, they sense it. They sense it in the body. Okay. But then there's also masach, between, upper realities and the world of Atzilus. Now, those who are coming from the world of Atzilus, they're already looking from a perspective of a yesh. For them, for the people in the world of Atzilus, they probably may be doubting if they existed. Do you understand? But the reality of the Hashem is very clear for them. They may be doubting, like, oh, what am I doing here? Like, who am I? They maybe will have identity issues more than the world, from Biyah. People from Biyah, they know they exist. Now they doubt the existence of God. Where's God? You see, it's like the opposite.
Right.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go into paragraph 21. We're not going to have a second for bringing because Sarah is going to be upset. Okay.
Which Sarah is going to be upset?
And not you. We have another Sarah who gave us a whole spiel that we had.
Okay.
Not you. No, we have other Sarah. Yeah. We wonder who that is. Okay. Anyhow. It's good to have a supervisor. Important. Puts you in line. Okay, paragraph 21 is a new gate opening up. Take a deep breath, breathe out. It's a new concept, right? It's a new paradigm that we get.
Do you want to take the document tabs away so that we don't?
Yeah, it's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big enough.
Yeah.
Kol zehu ha'hamshacha michitzonius hakelim diyut sfirot debiyah da'atzilut debiyah, right? Everything what we've learned up until now, this whole Etzem v'Yispashtus business, that Chayus is coming like the light, like the life of the body, and the mashalim of a candle of a sun, koach hapol benifal. All this, what you have learned, this is when the hishtalshelus happens on the external part of the kalim. Okay? We could call it appears to the eye. Okay, meaning you are outside, right? The child is already born and he's looking at the mother and he's like, oh, who are you? I didn't see those eyes, right? Because the child was inside and his perception of a mother was a totally different perception. The day later, he's out, he's looking. What do you do with this child? How can you say that it's you? He freaks out. He's like, I don't know who you are. What are you going to do? By the way, what do? You hold your child close to your heart, that he hears your heartbeat. It's like, oh, it's same heartbeat. He knows your cardiogram very well. Okay? And then you talk to him, so he recognizes your voice. Okay, that's the only two ways he could get it, that it's actually you. Maybe it's somebody else. Do you understand? So that's the same story. Okay, so now we're going to go on the inside of the things. Okay, how things are inside. Okay, acham shochem mi'atzmius amatzel lehayer b'yud spheres da'atzelis atzmam hu b'derech elam v'gilui. But the drawing down from the essence of the emanator, right, in order to eliminate the 10 spheres of Atzilus themselves, not to create the world. We're not talking about the mission for Malchus of Atzilus. For us, Anash, you know what I mean? There's one thing what we feed all the Mekuravim, right? It's what then we have our own discussions, okay? What happens in 770, right? It's not for, people outside. It's us. Okay, so for the 10 spheres of Atzilus themselves, is in a manner of Helen Vigili. Now, what's going on in Atzilus? Well, having Klolus Hafresh ben Bechinas Helen Vigili, the Bechinas Etzem Ispashtos. Now, right now is just a bunch of wood. For us to understand the general difference between Helen Vigili and Etzem Ispashtos. What's Etzem is the essence, Ispashtos, what goes out of Etzem, right? What manifests.
Mila, I just want to stop there and just clarify to make sure that you understand that Yehuda Tata, that we've been discussing up until now, because he doesn't mention this often, is in the way of Etzem Vispashtus, right? And Yehuda Ilah is in a way of Helen Begilui.
It's like two paradigms. It's like two realities of the same thing. Again, who are we talking about? We're talking about Hashem. Okay? So now, how we interact with Hashem. It could be in two ways. Okay? Not we, forget about us. How the world interacts with Hashem. Bria Yitzira and Asiya perceive Hashem as Etzem Vispashtus. We already learned that. Okay? Perceive the light of Hashem and how Hashem creates the world through Etzem Vispashtus. Now, the creatures in the world of Atzilus, whoever they are, okay, they perceive Hashem in a totally different way. They perceive about Helen Begillah. Okay?
So this is what we're going to be learning about now. What is the
Helen Begillah?
Two systems.
Then, right now, we want to understand the general difference. Okay? And then we're going to give mashalim. We're going to go into that in order to understand what exactly we're trying to understand. And after that, obviously, we have what to compare. Okay? The Etzem Vispashtus with Halam Megilui. And it will help us to understand how Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya operates and how Atzilus operates in relationship to Hashem. So we can like compare and contrast. V'hine inyan ha'Ispashtus, af al pi she'eino toifes mokom klal be'esis kilalusu b'mokoimai. Now, the matter of extension, Hispashtus, is as follows. Although it occupies no place at all when it is included within its source, ad shehu sham ein ve'efes, right? To the point that this Hispashtus in the essence before it goes out, right? It's like nothing. Ein ve'efes. Like the mashal is given like the ray of the sun, where it is included within the sun itself. It didn't go out yet. He's still up there. He didn't decide if he wants to shine or not. He is still within the sun. If we observe mikol makom anoraim sheyesh lakoyach lehispashes lechutz mina atzmus bebchinas rikuk makom heimein. Nevertheless, we'll look that this ray has the power to extend outward from the essence, meaning from the body of the sun, out to a place that is distant from it, right? Like how many years you need to get all the way to the sun. But look, I'm looking out of the window, I see a sun ray. Obviously, the sun ray has the capacity to extend outwards 1,000 kilometers, right? And if we look at it with a niche of and if we look at it, it's considered a small change in relationship to the essence, because I don't see a sun like outside my door. You know what would happen? I don't think I'll be giving a Zoom class. I'll be out. Okay? Imagine the sun is like landing like outside. It's going to be a disaster, right? So we obviously see that it is a change. It's not the actual sun shine. It's a ray of the sun shine. Okay? For previously it has not yet come into a state of extension. And now it has come to a state of extension at a distance from it. Right? Before it was in the sun. Now it's outside of the sun. So obviously there is a difference here. Right? And even though this is not a complete change in the very being of the essence itself, it's not changing the sun. The fact that the sun ray is now shining into Brooklyn doesn't change anything to the sun. Okay, because the essence of the sun was not filled by previously lacking influence, now was diminished through the giving influence, right? Before it started shining into Brooklyn, the sun was not lacking anything. It was not lacking, you know what? Today I feel depressed. I did not shine into Mila's window today. Okay, now I'm going to do this mission and I'm going to be happy. Now I fulfilled my mission of being a son. I couldn't care less. Okay? So it didn't add or didn't, was lacking anything. It was the sun, Hashem gave him 28-year cycle. So doing this job. Who gets the sunlight? Who's not getting the sunlight? It's Hashem's business. Right? And it is also not fully grasped or occupied at the time of influence. It's like, okay, I'm shining now. I have one mission. It's not hyper-focused. I'm shining now on Mila's window. Therefore, Yoni is not going to get sun today. Sorry. Tomorrow, I'm going to shine in Yoni's window. Mila is not going to get sun today. Doesn't work like that. It shines. And everybody gets sun, whoever needs to get. Now, and therefore, it can, at the very same time, be present elsewhere. Kanal be'inyan shimsha aleph chaf ayin nicha. Okay, as explained above, regarding the idea that the sun remains at rest everywhere, right? We spoke about it. That's why the sun was a perfect example to show us that there's no limitation in the light of Hashem. Remember? Because by the body, there was limitation. By the tenuah, by the movement, there was a limitation. I could jump, I could also swim, but I could do both, cannot do both at the same time. And that's why we needed a mashal of the sun, that it's a perfect mashal. I could shine everywhere. Okay? I'm not only caught up in this particular hashpah. But at the same time, if we look close enough, we're now looking at this mashal with a magnifying glass. Before it was no magnifying glass, but now we imagine like there's a sun and then there's a magnifying glass, and you're trying to see this ray, you track him down all the way to the sun. Okay, you could tell him like, okay, where are you? And what happens? Mikol mokom, but nevertheless, in this respect, it's considered somewhat of a change. במה שבא התפשטותו מחוץ לעצמיס, right? That its extension has come outward from the essence, right? Because it's interesting, like you're saying that you have such a bittul inside the sun, but you know what? You actually came out of the sun. You're not there. So what does it indicate to us? Okay, ועל ידי זה נעשה התחדשוס קצת בעצם במה שבתחילה היה בלא התפשטות. And through this, there is somewhat of a new state in the essence. What new state? In that at first has existed without extension. So extension itself is an indicator that there is some kind of a change, meaning the sun before was not extended, and now the sun is extended. It's a change of the fact that now he became a ma'or. You understand? Now it became a luminary that illuminates. It has many messengers that go out in the whole entire world to give sun. So there is a change there. Before you were a potential, a yicholis, to give light, but now you're actually giving light. You see the difference? It's a very subtle difference, but there is difference there. Because since the extension was included and completely nullified within it, now it's not nullified. Now it's going out as a yesh. Look at the ray of the sun. It's a yesh. I'm not delusional. It's a real thing. And now the extension has been added to it. And this is also indicates further. That's a key word here. And this is also indicates further that even when the extension is included within the essence, it is not absolute unity with the essence. That's why it's capable to go out. You see? So it's not unified. It's not yichud with the essence. That's why it could go out. Rak hu b'bchinas k'tzad davar k'tzad, right? Rather, it is still in a category of being some kind of existence. Now, it's not a full yesh, but you know what? There's something there. Rak she'ena b'metzias yesh gomur la'asois tosefes v'chisorim be'etzem anal. Except that it's not a complete independent existence that could cause addition or deficiency in the essence, as explained above. There is metzias. It's a little bit metzias. It's not the metzias to the point that it could add or subtract from the essence, but it's some kind of metzias that could go out of the essence. It's not the sun goes out to you. It's the ray of the sun. And therefore, he adds a certain name or descriptions to the essence. Okay. Meaning there is already some kind of a form there. It's a formation there, for a name even, right? How do we know the sun? Now the sun is luminous. The sun before was a dark place, by the way. Okay. Before the Ma'or. Now it's a luminous. Wow. Like the sun, which is called by the name of the ray, that within it, it's a luminous entity, which is a ray. And therefore, sin, it has some kind of existence. Even though while it's still included within the essence. And it appears as a distinct entity outside of the essence, right? And it should be enough to understand, right? So now, in simple words, the very fact that the ray of the sun can extend outside of its essence is an indicator that within its essence, before the extension, it has some kind of metzias. Now, it's not a full metzias like a davar yesh. Therefore, it has this unlimited property. But nevertheless, it's still something. Aval b'pchinas gilu elam. That's etzem v'hispashtus. You understand? In etzem v'hispashtus, there is somebody that has a bittul. Okay? But in etzem v'hispashtus, I'm sorry, in Helam v'gilui, there is a unity. There is no bittul. Understand? Bittul is when you are something, somebody, and you mevatel yourself towards your essence. That quality of bittul itself indicates that you're not fully united. You are a separate entity, in a way. But you are mevatel. You're in a state of bittul. Helam v'gilui is a whole new business. Helam v'gilui lo yochel leispashas michut min ha'etzem b'bchinas yesh v'davar. Right? By the level of Helam v'gilui, okay, it's impossible to spread out outside of the essence into yesh or something. Why? Mitzad yechudo b'tachlis im ha'etzem. Because of its absolute unity with the essence. Ache einam shnei dvarim nivdalim klal. To the point that they are not two separate things at all. You understand? That's why the world of Atzilus is a funny world. It's like, it's not that there's God. That's why they don't even call it creation. Because creation, by definition, it's already the world of Bria, and it's already something outside of Hashem. In the world of Atzilus, there's nothing outside of God. That's why they call it emanators, which is nobody knows how it's translated. We're just continuously saying emanators as if we understand what that means. We will never understand it from the prism of a yesh. That's why we use a word that nobody understands. I think, did you ever read this word elsewhere outside of the book of Tanya? What's emanator? Go ask a guy. Stop him on the street, the biggest professor, and say, what's emanator? He has no clue. Because this word is like, it's not in a dictionary. Because nobody cares what this word really means. What the word means emanator, I never understood it. We use the word as Jews, as Chabad. Only we know this word. Only what we know what this means. Okay, nobody knows what emanator means. Nobody knows what emanation means. It's like gibberish. Okay? Because biggest scientists, why they care about emanator? They couldn't care less what the emanator means because they are in a prism of Bria. Okay? They have no concept of what emanator means. There's nobody who will ever explain this word to you other than Alter Rebbe. I think he's the only one who uses this word. And he found it in some old book in Kabbalah. Okay? Anyway. And it's not right? And it's not like the relationship of the sun ray to the sun. Right? Because the body of the sun is an entity on its own, and within it's included the existence of brightness of the sun ray, right? And then there is like this, a little existence. Mashenkin Gilu, but it's completely by contrast.
So Ziva Shemesh, Ziva Shemesh Bashemesh is considered etzem v'itpashtut?
Yes. Now, Helam v'gilui is a different story. Hu gilui ha'etzem. You are revealing what? You are revealing the thing itself. Okay? You're not revealing anything. You're not revealing about that thing. You're revealing the thing itself. Mamash. And therefore, you cannot have gilui without the etzem. You understand? Because the etzem is what is being revealed. So the revelation and the atzmus are exactly one thing. It's just before it was concealed, and now it's revealed. Until the point that it's impossible for the essence be without the revelation. And now, in the level of the revelation of the Hid, there's absolutely nothing new. It's the old essence that's being revealed after the Gilui. There's no ischachos to the Gilui. You're not revealing anything new. It's there. You just whether reveal it to the person who never saw it or to the person who lost it. I lost my keys. Now I see my keys. Is it adding anything to the key? No, the key was exactly same. Nothing changed with the key. The key is the key. Before I had no clue where it was. Now I open my drawer, I see my keys. Anything isn't adding to the key? No. So the revelation is to who? To the makabel, to the one who didn't see the key before. Right? But it's not adding anything to the key. So therefore, the revelation and the key is one and the same thing. Right? Kamashal matmon, like an example of a treasure. That is hidden under the earth or inside a box. And when it becomes revealed through digging in the earth, or by removing the covering, okay, nothing has been added to the revelation itself. The only new thing is that the revelation has now appeared to the eye of one who sees it. Okay. Open your eyes, right? The Rebbe keeps screaming. It's like, oh, what am I supposed to look at? Oh, everything is here, right? So interestingly, and I discussed this with Naria, I think I'll share this with you. Something cute.
Mila, do you want to stop sharing? Stop sharing, and then we can.
Oh yeah, stop sharing. Okay. It's something very, very cute. All right. We were talking about etzem v'spashtos. Do you remember what avodah we were talking about? Let's warm up our neurons. What avodah we were talking about etzem v'spashtos? Why the candle was an appropriate example for that? What the candle represents. Hmm?
It's like the person that is mitzvahs. The wick is the flame.
What
the wick,
mitzvahs do?
the mitzvahs are the oil or the candle, and then the wick.
Yeah, but what mitzvahs do? Like I, took a cow, shechted it, made a skin out of it, made the tefillin, put it on. What's going to happen to tefillin?
They become kodesh.
Exactly. I elevate it. There's something as a concept which is called biruri noga, right? But look what the biruri noga means. I take the what's it called, the klipas noga, right? The parv klipa, and I elevate it. I bring it to, remember when he described the whole process, what happens? You take the noga, you elevate it to its source, and now the more light is in Atzilus, and from Atzilus, right? This whole process of biruri noga. What am I doing basically? I'm taking the details of the world and I'm bringing it up to Hashem. I'm bringing it up to its source, right? That's Yehuda Tata. Do you understand? Meaning, there was, there was water. And you might think like, what's water is about? Where the water is coming from? Well, we have to make a bracha. Because by making a bracha, I acknowledge the source of it. Understand? I acknowledge the source of who gives me shahakol nia bidvari, right? That everything was created through the words of Hashem. So what's important to acknowledge it? Who cares? As I see water, I want to drink. No. The whole Yehuda Tata is to bring it back to the source. Everything. A person has a problem. You have to bring it to the source. You have to recognize Hashem in all the details of your world. That's Yehuda Tata. We discussed it, right? That's like first few chapters. We kind of established what Yehuda Tata is. And what happens next? Now, Yehuda Ilah is a whole new thing. The Rebbe said in Tafshin and Aleph, Tafshin and Beis Sikh, it's a famous Sikha, Avodas HaBirurim finished. Whatever we learned, it's done already. Meaning globally, right? Globally, as the world, we completed Avodas HaBirurim. All the sparks of Torah already found. They went home. All the hostages went home. That's it. Okay. Bring them home. They're already home. That's it. It's done. Mission accomplished. So what are we supposed to do? So the Rebbe says in the Sikha, so what do you do? Can you imagine, like, you already elevated everything? Everything is already elevated. So what are you supposed to do? The Rebbe says that now is the time where we should be leyachid yichudim. Okay? Meaning you make unifications. So how do you do unifications? Because you see, when we are talking about etzem v'hispashtus process, right? We already done with that paradigm. Listen, anybody who wants to volunteer and still live in Golos mentality, go ahead. I mean, we're already doing it for 30 years. So I guess, continue. You could do it. Nobody stands like, no, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to do that. You could do it. But it's in a way that Rabbi is opening up a new way of relating to the world. And what that new way of relating to the world? Through this unification. Because what's the unification? The bottom line, like generationally, we're coming to Yehuda Ilah in a way. Do you understand? Remember, no skipping, right? We're not skipping, but we already completed it as a humanity, in a way, as a Jewish nation. Now, the relation becomes more of awareness of Yehuda Ilah, which is what? Unity. It's one and the same thing. There is no spark that's being lost away from the sun, and I have to catch it and bring it back. We are in the sun already. There's no sun ray anymore. The concept that something could extend outward from Hashem is old news. And we could say it's fake news. President allow us to call it fake news. That's it. Nothing is anymore, It's old stuff. It's history. So then what is everything? Everything is Hashem. There's no everything. Now it's Hashem is everything.
So are we meant to be making unification with
now.
Hashem?
Exactly.
We meant to...
Not bringing up lost things. Nobody's lost anything. That's it. Everything is already included. Meaning generationally, we already packed everything back to Hashem. That's it. Torah is in full function. Back. That's it. There's nothing coming out of Hashem. Imagine the avodah what? To find all lost rays and pack it back to the sun. Imagine, let's make a cartoon. You found one ray, you put it back. I don't know, Shimshin did something, you put it back. Imagine the rays just fell out of the sun. Okay, and you put it back. So you patch the sun, now sun is content. Okay, and you realize that truly the sun is everywhere. There's not etzem and something came out of the sun, but the sun is everywhere. You live on the sun. I mean, what's it called? The guy wants to go to Mars. There is something to it. Mars is the closest to the sun, right? He's trying to figure this out. Okay, we should give Elon Musk another direction. Go to the sun. Let's create something there. Okay. So it's like we're going back. We're realizing that the avodah of, in a way, bringing the sun ray into the sun while you're in the sun, it's a little bit useless, right? If you're outside of the sun, you're sending him back packages, Amazon packages of his rays, makes sense. But he got all his kids already. That's it. All his kids are within him. It's good. I'm good. I'm happy now. It's a happy sun. So then, but you are inside the sun. You know how stupid you feel? It's like, wait a second, I've been spending generations of collecting the sun rays and packing it back just to realize that it was all here all the time. We were on the sun. So what we were doing. Do you understand how stupid you feel? And I think that's how I think we feel now, right? Like, okay, all Amazon shipments already went up with all the netzutzes, everything is up already. Biruri madad. So what are you doing here? I'm just discovering that I'm on the sun. We need to now to discover that everything is Hashem. That not everything is Hashem, that Hashem is everything. That's where it's like Nofel Asimon supposed to happen in a way. Like, you're like, oh. Do you understand? Not that we're bringing back everything to Hashem. That already happened. I mean, obviously, on the miniature level, the Rebbe says we are still connecting in the Pnimis Golus. You know, that Golus Pnimi, not Golus collective. Collective Golus is gone already. The inner Golus, where we just don't get it, you know, like you arrive home, but you don't realize that you're home. It's Imagine arriving home thinking that you're always at a journey. I have to journey. I'm in the journey. It's a long story. It's supposed to be a long, hard story. And you still keep telling yourself it's supposed to be a long, hard story, but you're already inside the house. But you're still thinking about this long, hard story. You understand? And you're like, kind of like, there is this dissonance between a true reality, where we at, and where the person is at. Like, imagine a person escaped a dangerous situation and is already in safety, but he can't get over that trauma. But you're already here. Everything is good. You're full. Now you're all fingers intact. Nobody bit off anything from you. You're all good. But he is still in the, you know, sometimes your kids go through, you know, hard experiences. You're happy your kid is alive. Everything is beautiful. I couldn't care less about that drive and nothing. Amazing. You're here. Okay? And that, but the kid didn't catch it yet here. Understand? That he's good. He's in safety. And I think that's why we hold. So that's what Helam Vigiloi. Helam Vigiloi is that when you discover, like, for example, yesterday, you know what happened? It was Friday. No, it was Thursday. We had graduation. I was so wrapped up about everything because I also needed to speak. I also was the one who was taking photos, and I also one who was, you know, doing a lot of different things, multitasking. And I'm walking around for 15 minutes. I lost my phone. I was like, where is my phone? I'm looking under, you know, there was a lot of people, kids, maybe they threw it in the garbage. I was already imagining. And I just asked my Moshe, he's amazing in finding things. I was like, Moshe, where's my phone? And he's like, you're holding it. It was like, what's your problem? I'm like, for literally 15 minutes, I'm going through this painful experience. Where is my phone? What was happening? I had out-of-body experience. My body was holding it, didn't drop it. Obviously, there was a part of my brain that was very focused that I should hold my phone and not lose it because it's important, right? But my consciousness was somewhere else. I wasn't sending messages, and I was not aware that my body, me, you understand? That's what I'm trying to say, that sometimes we separate ourselves. We are somewhere else. And the reality is somewhere else. That's Helam Vigiloi, you understand? This is with Helam Vigiloi. Here, my phone was with me all the time. It did not leave my hand. But my awareness was who knows where. The minute he told me, you're holding it. It's pashut. It's simple, right? You're holding it. What happens? He brought my consciousness into my hands. I could hold only with my hand. I did not learn to hold with my feet. Okay, so obviously it was in my hand, okay? And probably it was in my left hand because I'm a righty, so I was doing different things with my right hand. So it brought me into right here, right now. Oh, I'm holding. Oh, the phone is here. That's Helam Vigiloi. You understand? That's how simple it is, Yehuda Ilah. Yehuda Ilah is very simple. You
How
all
do
of a
we
sudden
translate?
walking. What?
Sorry
You
for
got
interrupting. How do we translate it into our own lives?
own lives is when you think you need to get to Hashem, and Hashem has always been like right here in front of you all the time. Everything happens because of him in your life. And when you
But
click
Mila,
this
it
reality,
sounds so simple. It's like there's nothing left to do but open your eyes and you're
well,
already
I didn't
there.
say that. That's, I think, the Rebbe said 30 years ago. Guys, open your
That's
eyes.
right.
Look, we also, we're just beginning to study Yehuda Ilah. So to try and say, how can I apply this into my life, I think is a little bit premature. Because
but it is the simplicity. Yeah, what I'm trying to explain here is that the simplicity of holding your cell phone, right, and not realizing this is the connection. What I think happens when you this is like revealing the matmon. You understand? It's like revealing the treasure. The treasure was always there. It did not appear. It was not created. It was always there. It didn't go anywhere. You just didn't see it.
Look, he does, it's interesting. I don't know if this is going to be relevant, but he uses that particular mashal of a treasure. And then he says two things. Either you have to dig for it, or you just have to uncover it. Like it's covered over.
It's in the box. Remember, he says it's in the earth or inside a box.
Or inside a box. Maybe
and you know what? To me, I'll tell you what this means. Okay? To me, it's allusion to Koach HaMaskim or to Chochma Stima.
You mean to Aleph or Pele? Which one?
Exactly. Aleph and Pele. The one that digging, you have to do a harder work. You need to find and locate the place and dig. It's an avoida, you understand? But sometimes the treasure is here on your desk inside the box. You just need to uncover it, right? So the effort is less. So whenever already a revelation comes on the level of Aleph, it's already more formed. You understand? It's already, all what you need to do is just uncover it, discover it, right? And it requires effort, but not as effort. Understand? The one that you need to dig out, it's a pellet, and it requires, but you're also going to get rewarded for it. You understand? What you're digging out is treasures that nobody saw in the world. But that's an interesting. It's an interesting concept. It is an interesting reality.
It's interesting to me that in this paragraph, he spends 2/3 of the paragraph talking about etzem v'hispashtus, meaning he's talking about Yehuda Tata first.
Yeah, because he wants to clarify what Yehuda Tata really means for us.
But we've done 20 paragraphs on it. Now he's like going into like Mila said, like putting a microscope onto it, like going into a greater detail. So I think, when you look at this paragraph, you also have to say, well, what is it that he's adding about Yehuda Tata that we didn't know until now? Like why?
Well, we didn't notice. But he's saying it's very clear. I think it's very, very clear. There is something going out of the essence. That's it. If it has a capacity to go out of the essence, that means within the essence, it wasn't so united.
Right. So that's the thing of Bitul. But when I think about it, this is just my experience of it, is that there's some sense of distance. When you're working with, I'm just talking like making it more personal, is when there's etzem v'hispashtut, there's still a sense of this distance. Because to use the mashal, there's sunlight. So I'm connected, like to the sunlight, but not to the sun itself. So there's still you could have a sense of distance from the source. It's not completely united. Now we're going to go, when you go into the realm of Chochmah, the realm of Atzilut, it's going to be a different level of connection. But he said very clearly that you have to start with Yehuda Tata, because that brings you from a place of really being a Yesh to being connected, to the Ayin. And then you'll be able to do Ayin to Ayin. You'll be able to do the Yehuda Ilah. What it means, like Mila is saying, that the Rebbe spoke about the fact that that work has been done. I think that I'll bring the mashal of the, because I don't understand it exactly. How do we understand that it's been done? But, so we're making suggestions. Mila's making a suggestion about what that could mean. It doesn't mean that we don't have to do Yehuda Tata. His point is very strongly that that's part of what needs to be done. And that breaks the yesh, it breaks our insensitivity to Hashem when we do the work of Yehuda Tata, because that's our reality. We live in the reality of Yehuda Tata. And then that's work of Bina. And that's the only way to go to the realm of Chochmah, where you can begin to have a sense of seeing as opposed to just understanding. And it's interesting to say that, okay, so the mashal that I was going to use is, Mila said, all the chatufim, all of the hostages are brought home. So for all of us, it's like, okay, it's done. But for the hostages themselves, they still suffering from that experience and having to do their own spiritual work of healing. So in a general sense, the hostages are home, but on a prat level, they still have to do their Yehuda Tata, they still have to do their healing work. As a klal, we don't feel we have to do their healing works in general. So I don't know if you get the mashal there, but I think that there's a general tikkun and there's, detailed tikkun. And anyway, as we go further,
So does that mean that the avoda of digging is still necessary?
Yeah.
So how do we know when it's time to stop digging and find the box?
Guess it's not like, it's not like, we don't need to dig. What's it called? The digging is we still need to dig. The avoda shifted from the Rebbe says it's a recognition. Our main work right now is recognizing, not so much the digging. Because it's like, do I need to buy a new phone right now? No, I just need to realize that I'm holding it. But do you understand there was like this disconnect between me actually holding it and realizing where's my phone? We experience it all the time. I'm like, for me, it was like a striking point. Exactly when he told me you're holding it, I was like, oh, that's Helen Megillah. I mamish made that connection. I was like, that's Helen Megillah. Okay.
But it almost sounds like that you were already connected with what you were frantically looking for.
Exactly. And that's how it is in reality. We're already there. Do you think we'll leave Atzilus? We don't leave Atzilus. Atzilus is here within you. It's the consciousness that lives it. You understand? You never leave Atzilus. You never leave essence of God. Nothing can exist outside of essence of God. You exist because this essence of God is right here. Do you understand? It's like that disconnect. It's like, oh, wait, it's imagine, phone, it's something external. Imagine somebody forgot their hands. It usually doesn't happen. Do you understand? That's why the phone is a better example. But imagine somebody like just doesn't realize that he has a hand. There is like this perceived disconnect. But for me, in my head, I really had no clue. I'm telling you, I looked, and I'm not an insane person. I was so wrapped up with everything, da, da, da. I was in Golos in a way. Do you understand? I was outside of my own body awareness. It's like, where's my phone? Do you understand? And I'm looking everywhere. I'm like in sorrow. I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, this one kid could just put it in a garbage. And I literally, saw my cleaning lady taking out all the garbage. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not digging through that. Like I had all these thoughts in my head. And then I just asked my mother, like, oh, where's my phone? He's like, you're holding it. For him, it was so obvious. And the minute he brought me to right here, right now, because that's what the person did, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm holding it. That we never leave the essence. It's a paradigm that we perceive as if we left the essence. And once somebody points out, hey, open your eyes. It's right here. It's in front of your nose. Exactly what you're looking for. And you're like, oh, and you're awoken from your dream. That's why the Golos is like a dream. What do you mean a dream? You, as if your consciousness is in somewhere else. And you are suffering, and you are, I don't know, going through all the scenarios of your life, blah, 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 and all that. And all of a sudden, boom, somebody just wakes you up and says, Mila, it's already 8 o'clock. And you're like, ah. And you come right here, right now. Nothing happens. We're all here. Everything is amazing. The table is set. All the, everybody is there waiting for you to wake up.
So the thing is, Mila, though, we now have to, he's going to continue to tell us how to do it, like how to open our eyes. So this first paragraph, he's establishing just the beginning of this process of explaining, that in this dimension, it's not like it was in Yehuda Tata, where there's still kind of a sense of some distance from the thing itself, that it's a revelation that's coming out of the source. Now there's a sense of actual unity with the source itself. And that's really exciting. Like, how do we do that? What does that mean? And that's what we're going to continue to learn. So, unless you, I think that basically we could stop here. We wanted to keep things at an hour and a half, which is an hour and a half. And just, go and review that paragraph. It's not a difficult paragraph. He really just says, two things. He wants to emphasize the quality of slight change in Yehuda Tata when you're talking about the source of Yehuda Tata. And he describes that in a lot of detail, really a lot of detail. He's really going into it. So take a look at that. And in order to show us that Yehuda Ilah is not that. And there's a subtle difference, but it's different. That here, when I was describing it to Mila, what do you call it, Mila? Object. When
object permanence, yeah, object permanence.
When a kid is under a certain age, you can take a cup and hide it behind something, and they'll forget about it. And then at a certain point, the brain remembers, oh, it's just hidden, and they'll look around it. And it's quite extraordinary to watch that process with a kid. It's like it disappeared, and for them, it no longer exists. And it's like literally like that. It's like it's concealed, and then you just bring it out and it's revealed. And there's some way in us that we didn't, I hate to say this, but I guess we didn't evolve enough to see, at some point there was a tzimtzum for each one of us, and something was concealed from us. And so it then became lost to our consciousness. And at some point we evolve and are able to remove that masach, that thing that conceals. And, that's what we're working towards, actually, by refining our consciousness.
Maturity, that's what it is. It's a maturity.
And
it's interesting, yeah. It's like it's mamash a maturity. All of a sudden realizing it. No, the object is not just new.
Yeah.
It's a permanence there. It's there. Hashem is there because we all have experienced Hashem. We all experience Hashem in our life, and then it's gone. And we're like, oh well, that's Golos. But the Rebbe is saying, no, we as a nation, as a consciousness, as a collective Jewish nation, should reach already with all the Avodah and everything what was done, should reach a certain sense of maturity. And saying, no, Hashem is here. And to reach the Yehuda Ilah perception. The Rebbe is pushing us for this. It's like, okay, guys, that's it. Avodah of Birurim done.
We also have technology to really help us to do this. The advancement in technology, rather than just making our physical lives easier, should also expand our consciousness to be able.
Exactly, because it's also spending time and dwelling in this. I don't understand if my grandmother had an opportunity to really dwell on these concepts. She needed to wash the laundry by hands, ride by a horse, and do all that stuff. You understand all the physical activities. Now we see that the what we need to do is very, it's like it's nothing.
Well,
we
but
could really
on Zoom, like space time.
Yeah.
Our consciousness can expand around concepts like these.
I would be considered a magician, all of us, if we are going to travel in time 60 years ago with our smartphones, okay, with our gorgeous, they would perceive it as a mirror, right? Those tzaddikim, they would look in the mirror and would see the other side of the world. You heard the stories? Yeah, I'm telling you, I would be probably burned. If I would travel 100 years ago with my smartphone, I'm the only one who possesses a smartphone in the world. Okay. You know what people would think of me? They probably would burn me. Seriously. The public burning of witchcraft of going on, right? And now who is getting burned for having a cell phone? Maybe, I don't know if you go to Yoni's central country, right? Where do you go? No, not in those tribes. Do they know about cell phones? Okay. Where Papua New Guinea or somewhere, there. I don't know. They probably heard about cell phones. I'm sure they do. I don't think there's anybody on earth who doesn't know about this. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, all of a sudden, all these concepts, I think we generally became much more spiritual aware, as I think is even as a collective world consciousness, not only Jewish consciousness. It's like you see left and right all these different courses about meditations and all that was pretty much reserved for elite, we would call it. Now it's everywhere. It's flooded Amazon books everywhere, and the tips of your fingers you have access, not what's right, what's wrong, but just the consciousness of it, that you could connect to a higher source. It's phenomenal.
All right. Let's look forward to next week. We'll continue to understand how we can do this process, like what it entails, and how it's different from what we, the Yehuda Tata, what we used to.
Yeah.
Why does it sound so much easier?
Well, because generationally we are like this, no? It's also, we are in a different times than this book was written. Let's take that into consideration.
Nechama, I think it's also, if you think about your own learning process, you take a paragraph that is really difficult, and it just seems impossible. Well, let's take an easier metaphor. You get a puzzle, and you lost the box of on the box of the puzzle, they have the picture that you have to create. So you got the puzzle, but without the box. Now you have to, and it's many, many pieces. Now you have to put them all together. You have no clue how to do that. It's really hard. That's like Yehuda Tata. You're trying to put together a picture that you have no idea what it is. You just have words, you have pieces. You're trying to create But then when you actually do it and you look at the picture and you go like, oh, wow, that's easy. The moment you see it, the moment you see the whole picture, then it's much easier to, but to get there is not easy. Once you're there, once you have the ha-ha and you see the whole picture, you go like, wow, that wasn't so hard. And now you can do it again.
But you had to start without the picture.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing. What do you think we're doing the way we're learning Sha'arei Yichud? We're doing it piece by piece and putting together and seeing a little picture here and a little picture there and then putting them together and trying to build a picture. And so, okay, now I have the picture of chapter 1 and I see it. And I go like, oh, wow, okay, that wasn't so hard. But at the time when I just had the pieces, I didn't have a full picture. That was really hard. Now I'm in chapter 2 and I build another part of the picture and join those together. And now I'm in chapter 3 and I'm putting together other parts of the picture and then I'll have like all 3 together. But that process it's very much a Bina process of putting the unknowns together to try and see a bigger picture. But the moment I have an aha moment, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. I see the bigger picture. That's you already maybe in Chochmah. And that's when you have the level of Re'iyah, seeing is believing. But unless you go to the level of seeing a picture, you just stay stuck in, like in not really knowing what to do with the puzzle. So, our job is to try and help you to put together the pieces to get some kind of picture. We also don't have the whole picture. We have parts of the picture. You also do have parts of, the picture. And we're working together to broaden our vision. Another metaphor that one of my students, who I'm learning this with, she said, it's like a window. There's a landscape on the other side of the window. And my window is this big. And that's how much of the landscape I see. Then I make the window bigger and I see more of the landscape. The landscape exists. It's just how I broaden the window. Then I get to see more of the landscape that's already there. That's what we're doing. Every time we learn more, we're making the window larger and seeing more of the reality that is there.
I see. I'd just like to step outside and see the whole thing without the window.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? But when you step outside, you're not in a body anymore.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So we were outside, and somewhere inside of us, we know some of this. And that's why you can have the aha, because it's like, wow, okay, somewhere you know that. Somewhere, it's just hidden. That's what Mila's saying. Somewhere it's Helen Vigiloi. Somewhere we're going to say, oh, it's there. And I just had to remove the veil. But this is what this is the process.
So it sounds like there's that the Helen Vagilo is in pieces, the little pieces that are hidden and then they're revealed. And then we get,
I don't know, because we don't know much about Helen Vagilo. That sounds more like Etzem Vispashtus, where you're trying to put all the words together. That's what he described in chapter 1, right? Is how do we build a picture? So you do Iyun on the words of the teacher, and then you get to the Rochav and you start to look at it from different angles. And then suddenly you get it. You see the Chochmah, the point of it, the Oimek HaMusag, and you connect to it. That's Oimek HaDas, and then you're in Chochmah, and you get the Etzem HaSkala. You get the point, and you see it, or you experience it. It's like you're looking at it. You just get it. And that then becomes, then you're in Yehuda Ilah. And then you can connect it back to the source just like that, because it's revealed to you. Before it was hidden. Before it was just like a ray. It wasn't the thing itself that you were working with. You were working with an explanation. You were working with mashalim and words. And then you see the thing itself. And then to connect that back to its source, you're not going through that same process. Then you're in the world of seeing. Anyway, that's what we're going to continue to explore. What does it mean? Yehuda Ilah. It's very exciting to learn a different language, because really we know the language of Yehuda Tata. That's what we're doing all the time. But Yehuda Ilah is a new language that we want to learn.
Okay, well, we'll see. Thank you so much.
And, go back and do some review. And so then, the more you've done the work, because he's going to keep contrasting Yehuda Tata and Yehuda Ilah. So the more you're familiar with Yehuda Tata, which is the first 20 chapters, even you could say 11 to 20, the more you're familiar with that, the more you can understand Yehuda Ilah.
So we're kind of doing both at the same time?
He's going to be constantly contrasting them, because I guess he's doing it because the language of Yehuda Tata is so unknown to us that he has to use the language of Yehuda Tata to contrast it in order to reveal it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Looking forward to the next chapter.
Me too. Take care. Have a good week. Bye.